Hey guys, today I'm going to show you the Hyperkin Retron 5 console. This is a classic console that will play cartridges for GBA, SNES, NES, Genesis, and Famicom. Here's the box. I got this for $150 at my local independent game store. So let's show you what it's like. To power it on, you hold the power button in until the lights blink and everything turns on, which actually takes a second. And talking about what this system actually is, it's actually utilizing, it's an Android device really, and it uses emulation in conjunction with your actual cartridges to give you a pretty, I would say a pretty nostalgic and accurate game experience on your modern television. You know, it only uses HDMI, which is sort of a plus, and it's also limiting in some ways because you can't experience it on a CRT television unless you know, you're worried about that. Then this is definitely probably the best multi-console like this out there from what I have seen. And I played the Trio, whatever that one, the Retro Super Trio, and that did not really come close to providing this kind of experience that the Retron 5 does. So it has a graphic user interface, and actually it will try to detect what cartridge you put in. So let's say, okay, so we have Mario Brothers. Now, as I try to position it, it feels very tight when you slide the cartridge in. The series of LEDs on the front of the console will tell you if it's detecting what system the cartridge is for, at least. But even if it doesn't recognize the cartridge, you could still power it on and see if it takes. This time it actually recognized, so that's pretty cool. Last time I played it, it couldn't recognize the disc. So yeah, as you can see, Super Mario Brothers. And then you've got your menu here, which allows you to change the settings for each console that you're using. So that's pretty neat because you can actually map all of these individual controllers, not just the Retron controller itself. This is the Retron. But also you can map a Super Nintendo controller to play Genesis, or you could also, you know, depending on what game you're playing, you could map a Genesis controller to play a multiplayer Super Nintendo game. So, but let's see what Mario Brothers looks like. Now I have in the settings forced to display the original resolution. So right now I'm using an original Nintendo controller to play. Sorry about the brightness there. So here's Mario Brothers. I mean, it feels just like it should. You know, and some people might say that it actually looks too good. You know, it looks weird when it's not being shown on a CRT monitor, but I mean, people that have been playing emulators, you know, you expect this already. So it doesn't really bother me. I think it looks better to have that crisp, clear image on a modern television than it does to try and, you know, for example, it does have a scan line effect option you can add on, but I don't think that enhances the experience at all. I'm enjoying this more, just being able to see it clearly and having the gameplay feel right. I mean, this feels just like playing Nintendo, especially using you know, the original controller, it's a great experience. So, okay, Mario Brothers looks good, right? It's running at the right speed. There's no weird glitches. Visually, it's totally correct. Now, one neat thing that you have is you can actually... this system allows you to access the main menu using the Nintendo controller. If I press pause and down at the same time, it brings up this menu. And I'm controlling this with the Nintendo controller. So that's pretty cool too. All your options here. You can change filters. So once again, for people who use emulation, you know, you can put a filter on it and then go back to the game. And although it doesn't, you can't really tell very well. It's not really focusing very well right now. But anyhow, I don't really think the filters look all that great. I guess some people maybe that never played these original systems might find it useful, but I also don't like how it automatically shrinks the image to be smaller. I mean, I think it looks great this way. So, but anyhow, we'll quit out of Mario Brothers. So when you want to leave a game, you use this in-game menu to select to return back to the main menu. So here we are back at the main menu again. And I'm going to remove Mario Brothers, which is probably going to be harder than it should be, because, as I mentioned, this console has a very tight grip on the cartridges when you put them in. So let's check out Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario World. Sorry, forgive my ignorance. Oh my goodness, how terrible. So again, just inserting the cartridge until the system detects what you have. And it might not always say what game it is, but as long as there's a series of LED lights on the front with a controller for each system, and as long as the proper LED is lit, and you see it indicated here that it knows what system the game is, then you can give it a try to load it up. Okay, so yes, it recognizes Super Mario World. Check Mario World out. So, there's our title screen. It's looking good, as it should. Gonna do a one-player game, of course. And here we are. So, once again, it feels right. Another thing that I've noticed playing, because we are actually playing SNES 9X Plus, I think is what it's called. It's an emulation. It's an emulator that we're using in conjunction with this cartridge. But, things like the music and other subtleties about the gameplay are vastly improved over what I've experienced on my, my PC multicade setup that I play emulation on. It's just really true. It feels like I'm playing Super Nintendo, especially, once again, using that Super Nintendo controller. It's so nostalgic. It's really getting the job done for me, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's apparently some questionable legal issues regarding Hyperkin's use of these emulators, which are not basically, it's not legal to profit from them. Well, obviously they are. These are built in. You don't have to download any of these emulators. Ironically, though, we can only play the emulation of this game having the hard copy, which is actually what the law is supposed to be. So, I don't know if anybody's interested on forming their own opinion about that. I'm sure you can look it up on the fabulous internet somewhere, but I'm not really I'm concerned with my children experiencing these games and being able to, you know, play them myself alongside in my family room here alongside my other modern consoles. So, and just like the clarity of the image, I think, alongside the way that the gameplay feels just really correct, is what are the strongest points really here. But there are a lot of other features that, I mean, I haven't even begun to get into. With the Retron, you can actually not only download updates for the firmware, but you can also download cheat patches, basically. It's got a built-in, you could say it's like a built-in game genie, like how and also the emulators, you know, that you use on your PC have the same cheat options. You can download those files onto an SD card, put that SD card in the Retron, you know, and then you'll be able to select to use cheats on games. So I mean, there's a lot. This system has possibilities open. It could be around for a while, you know, and it's not, although it's only $150, that is a kind of big chunk of change, but I think it's really worth the purchase. If you have cartridges that you haven't played, or if you're interested now in beginning to recollect some of those cartridges you've lost over the years and experience them, then this is a really good option. So, I guess lastly we can take a look at Sonic the Hedgehog, see if we can get that to boot up. You can also use the original Genesis adapter that lets you play Master System games. That will fit onto this console, and so really you can actually play Master System games too. I'm going to play this time using the actual Retron controller. This controller is very clicky. Here, it's very clicky, but still usable. So here, this is basically what happens. Let me back up. As you can see down there on the bottom left, the Retron does recognize that it's a Genesis cartridge. This brings me to the point that also you don't want to have two cartridges of any kind in the system at once. It has a warning in the instructions that you might damage the system if you do that. So make sure you don't do that. But see, right now it doesn't recognize which game this is. It just knows it's Genesis. But we're still going to press play. It gives us a warning. This cartridge is not recognized by Retron due to poor connection, could result in corrupted data being read. It recommends to try removing and reinserting the game, and then it allows an option to try and boot anyway. So I'm going to say yes. See what happens. Red screen. So this is basically where you get to your the good old days, where you've got to remember not to blow into your cartridge, but maybe, like it says, try to reinsert it. Make sure you've cleaned your cartridge, cleaned your connections with a little bit of alcohol, and give it another shot. If we can't get it to go the second time, we won't bother, but okay, there we go. So it recognized it this time. Here we go, Sonic. So yeah, guys, what can I say about this? You know, yeah, it's an emulation, but you know what? You can put your consoles away in your garage now, and just put this out next to your Wii U or whatever you got, and just jam, have fun. I mean, this is, you know, this is modern retro gaming right here. So I highly recommend it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and take care until the next time.